We don't need to drum up fake interest or fake drama. We've got some wonderful graphics here in the studio to take us through our mock draft, which you and I compiled together. So I can just safely assume pick number 1 is going to be USC quarterback Caleb Williams.
Caleb Williams. I don't want to overthink this either. And I think listen, Chicago is now set up for a young developing quarterback, and Caleb Williams could not ask for a better landing spot as the first overall pick. I've talked a lot this season about, and this offseason, about how the Bears are in a very unique position where they have the first overall pick because of that trade with Carolina without a roster that warrants it. This is not your typical roster that a first overall pick is going to go to. Caleb Williams has a 1-2 veteran wide receiver punch in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen now. He's got a stable of running backs, headlined now by DeAndre Swift. They've invested a lot. The Chicago Bears have invested a lot in the offensive line to make sure that Caleb Williams or whoever's under center there is going to be protected. And for this exercise, Caleb Williams should be really happy to come to Chicago.
Here's my cynical take on it, and we'll move on.
Of course.
I think Caleb Williams is a great player. I think he's going to be good. I like him a lot. I would draft him first. Even if you disagree or if you're not sold, don't be the smartest guy in the room right here.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to look back on this in 2 years and you thought outside the box and let Caleb Williams slip. Like if you draft Caleb Williams and you're wrong, how many people are going to kill you for that? I don't think they're going to. If you draft another guy and you're wrong, all-time punchline. All-time bad move. Like you don't want to be on top of that list.
I could talk forever about strategy when it comes to mock draft season or like draft season in general, because this is lying season. This coincides with lying season too. You only should go by teams' actions and what they're showing you, and what the Bears are showing you right now.
That they're very
interested in Caleb Williams. So you're right. No one's going to come down on you for saying, hey, they're going to take Caleb Williams first overall.
All right. We did a bad job of doing that briefly since we said we weren't going to. I think the Bears go Caleb Williams number 1. I made the pick at number 2. The Washington Commanders, I think they're taking UNC quarterback Drake Maye. I think it's the right call, in all honesty. I say that as an LSU grad. I love Jayden Daniels. I think Drake Maye's upside, the athleticism, the arm strength is the real deal. I don't think you pass on a package like that. I don't think Washington's going to. Whoever they draft, I think they've telegraphed that it's going to be a quarterback. Sam Howell has been shipped off to Seattle. They've done maybe not as good of a job as Chicago, but Washington has done, I think, an admirable job of just making sure that offense is a productive place, whether it's, the receiver duo, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. You got Austin Eckler there now. The offensive line could use a little work, but they've made some signings that should improve it. I like that landing spot. I think it'll be Drake Maye.
And you have an offensive coordinator that was recently in college in Cliff Kingsbury that can translate the college game for a quarterback pretty easily into the NFL.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting aspect as well. I think a lot of people...
and then we're going to get to this, but this is going to affect, though, something in my division.
So let's jump to that, because I could be wrong. Maybe the Commanders like Jayden Daniels. Maybe they like J.J. McCarthy. I don't believe it. It is lying season. I think Drake Maye goes 2 overall. I think that's a completely deserving pick. Let's get to the intrigue here, the intrigue of the top 10, which is really, in my opinion, the New England Patriots at 3 and the Arizona Cardinals at 4 could be the teams that really control where this draft goes. Now, here in the mock, you have the Patriots drafting
Jayden Daniels,
my guy, the Heisman Trophy
LSU
winner,
Tigers.
Jayden Daniels out of LSU. Let's walk through this, because they absolutely could do this, but I also think New England is an interesting candidate to trade down as well.
It seems from reports recently, and again, this is lying season, this could be them just trying to drive the price up, that the Patriots are not interested in moving out of that 3rd spot because they do need a quarterback. But and in this mock, we said that they take Jayden Daniels. So I think that it could go either way at this point. They have a contingency plan in Jacoby Brissett again up in New England. Is that enough to get you to where you want to go? Probably not this year, but are you even thinking about where you can get this year, or are you kind of thinking more long term? I think if you can get a haul for that 3rd overall spot to nab one of the top 3 quarterbacks, maybe they do this, but I don't know. It's going to be I think it's going to be hard to pry them out of that spot. I think that's kind of true.
I'm so conflicted about this because like the right quarterback will make a difference no matter what. Like it's not like CJ Stroud. It's not like we were in love with his situation when he got to Houston,
Mm-mm.
but he just elevated what the Texans were capable of. If Jayden Daniels is that guy, great. But I just can't help but think New England, are you close to competing?
Right.
Are you close right now? Will your quarterback be in a favorable situation when you draft him? I don't really think the answer is yes.
I don't either.
And the right quarterback could overcome it. But if somebody's willing to offer you next year's one and some additional stuff in this year's draft, you use that to make the team better. And then next year you have the ammunition to go after your guy. I am intrigued by that. I think a lot of Patriots fans disagree with me here.
Sure.
I think Patriots fans are tired of not having a Tom Brady type quarterback.
Oh, it's only been a few years. Come on.
Poor babies.
Poor babies. You had an amazing quarterback in a dynasty for 20 years.
I think patience could be a virtue here for the Patriots. So I agree. If they hang in and pick, I would guess it would be Jayden Daniels or Drake Maye if it goes the opposite way. But I would be interested in trading down.
I think we also need to look again at actions that this team has taken and what has New England done that makes you think that they're trying to make themselves a good spot for a young quarterback to land. Because I would argue they haven't done much.
I agree. I mean, they've made a lot of signings in free agency this year. I think most people would say, again, like when you have that much cap space to burn,
right,
you're going to wind up making at least a few underwhelming signings, or else you just can't fill out your roster. So this could be a situation where I think patience is a virtue. Yep. We'll see how it goes. That takes us to your pick at the number 5, which is where we have things getting
interesting.
Finally a little bit silly, because this is where we have our first trade going down, because it won't be, in our opinion, the LA Chargers making this pick at number 5.
This was my pick, Minnesota Vikings moving up into the top 5. My thinking behind this is, from everything I've heard, Minnesota really likes Drake Maye. But you have Drake Maye going to the Washington Commanders. So now Minnesota is faced with the choice of, okay, can we get J.J. McCarthy? And I think J.J. McCarthy, this would be a wonderful landing spot for him because of the fact that you have Kevin O'Connell and now Josh McCown in that quarterback's room that can bring along kind of a developmental prospect. And I do think that for everything, all the traits that J.J. McCarthy has that would translate to the pro level, I still think he's a bit of a project. They have the bridge in Sam Darnold, all of that kind of stuff. If then you have to go to your second choice because Drake Maye is already off the board, I don't see them having to trade. If they can't trade with New England into that third spot, which I don't think they would if Drake Maye is off the board, they're not going to trade into that fourth spot either when Arizona, just as like you mentioned, doesn't need a quarterback, or we don't think we'll need one. So that leaves you with the Chargers pick at number 5. You want to get ahead of the New York Giants if you're the Minnesota Vikings, because
absolutely do.
We absolutely think that they could maybe be a candidate to take a quarterback in this draft. That is the sweet spot, I think, for the Minnesota Vikings then if they don't get their first choice. And then you make J.J. McCarthy a top 5 pick, which you can argue that to the cows come home. But Minnesota did not make that trade to get another first-round pick to not take a quarterback high in this draft. And it's probably going to cost you a future one, but that's the cost of doing business when you're trying to get into the top 5 and teams know that you're desperate to move into that and get a quarterback.
We think pick 11, pick 23, a future one, maybe that's enough to get it done. Maybe you throw in like a 3rd or a 4th round pick this year on top of that. Yeah, I think that makes too much sense. And I think having that extra first round pick it gives the Vikings a package that not many teams can compete with.
Right.
Again, the New York Giants are a perfect example. They trade for Brian Burns. They lose pick 39 in the process. And now what do the Giants have to offer? They're like, we can give you 6, pick 47, and next year's 1. Is that better than the Vikings' ability to offer you 2 picks in the first round right now, today?
And then another one next year, and then maybe something on day 2 or 3 this year? Yeah.